Hey everyone. Selena here, Selena Baca Crochet. It's Monday. Come on over and mingle with me. It's Monday. It's Monday, so I'd like to mingle with you. If you're watching live, come on over, say hey, say hello, tell me where you're viewing from. We can make this a fun conversation. It's bag season in the world of Selena Baca Crochet pattern formation. I don't know what it is about the spring and the summer that just makes me want to crochet bags, but it just does. So that's what I've been doing. I first wasn't really sure what direction I wanted to go in the crochet bag frontier. And so I started by crocheting an oldie but a goodie, my granny scrap bag last year. So I had some Karen cotton cakes and I showed this to you guys last week. Anyway, I was so inspired by working up this bag. Again, granny scrap bag. Made it last year, so it's been out for a minute. It's been super popular on Etsy for some reason. I don't know, but I'm not mad at it. So anyway, it made me want to go back and just kind of make this again in a different yarn. So that's what I did. So when I made this last week, there's just something about the granny stitch. There's something about that particular stitch pattern. There's something about granny squares that I'm just so drawn to it. I can't make it enough. And so I keep trying to come up with like new configurations for that stitch. So anyway, I did that. Last week I had a couple hours to kind of sit down and be inspired. And so I sketched out a few things and I got another cake of Karen cotton cakes and I came up with this right here. So I'm going to tell you guys more about it. I am calling for pattern testers. All the links that I'm going to be chatting about today are in the video description. So make sure after this live, you go back and check that out. All right. But for now, I have to give a shout out to one of my favorite pattern testers and crocheters, Elaine. So good to see you. Aurora's here. Hey, so good to see you. Dawn is checking in from Jacksonville, Florida with fantastic pink hair. Man, I wish I could pull off a color like that, but I feel like I'm a low maintenance kind of person. So it would look good for 2 days and then I would ruin it. So well done. I really love that so much. And Mary's here checking in. Hello to you, Mary. Good to see you. All right. Final shout out to Kim. Good to see you, Kim. Thanks for checking in. Okay. So again, bag season, inspired by the granny stitch. And I feel like some people, you either love or you hate. I feel like so many people hear granny stitch or they hear granny square and they're like, that's so, it's just so old and out of date and it just hurts my feelings. I get it. I think I felt that way for a minute just because I learned with granny squares and I just felt like, man, it's so old and tired. And over the past couple of years, like I said, I just have been on this mission, this personal mission I can't stop making them, so I just keep coming up with new things. So here it is. I think Angelica in the group was like, the next bag I want to see needs to be some kind of granny square drawstring bag. And I was like, we're on the same path, my friend. We're thinking the same things because I'd already had this sketched up. So what I really love about this, it's a bag. I love I can't get enough containers of any kind. A bag is a container, so I'm super about it. I love this bag because it's a backpack and I've only made a handful of these. I haven't made a lot, but what I really love about backpacks, I like the weight distribution. Sometimes I have old lady shoulders and I shift a lot. And so having a bag just on one shoulder, if I'm going to have it for a long time, sometimes that's a little uncomfortable for me. So I personally like backpacks because I like that weight distribution. Also, if I have more than one bag, sometimes I do. Sometimes I have my purse and then I have a bag that's going to hold like my shopping stuff. Maybe I'm buying clothes or, I'm at the market and I'm buying pies or cookies because that's what I buy at the market. Or, veggies or something like that. I have another a market bag that I'm bringing to the market. So I really like backpacks because I'm not always, maybe I'm not always going to be digging in my bag. I don't need it accessible all the time, but I also want it to be closed. I want it to hold stuff and I want it to be comfortable. So for all those reasons, I really like backpacks. And, last but not least, I just think they're really cute. I think it's something that anybody can wear and pull off. You don't have to be any certain age. So, whether you're super young or a teenager or, your grandma. It doesn't matter. I think that, a backpack, you can pull it off really nicely. Of course, this includes the granny stitch, and it is that classic granny stitch of, the double crochets, the group of double crochets worked into a space. And it's just that constant repeat of those, same double crochet stitches worked into a space, over and over and over. What I played with this bag too, which anyone who follows the pattern, particularly my pattern testers, I'd love to hear what you guys think about this. I made the fabric of the bag itself reversible. Excuse me. I made it reversible in that if you're working a granny square, in any kind of round, typically granny square is worked in rounds that are joined. Of course, it makes a square, but, we're working it in rounds that join. Typically, when I make a granny square like that, I don't turn. So I have one side of fabric that, all the stitches are front side, and one side of fabric where all stitches are back side. So there's a right side and a wrong side. And I don't know, I just like that. It's very pleasing to my eye. But I always, I keep hearing people, there's a few different ways you can work granny squares. And one way is by turning after each round. So you join a round and then you chain up, and instead of, going and working in the same direction, you turn your work. And so you're working in the opposite direction. And therefore, every row, you're going to have a row of, stitches facing one direction and then stitches facing the opposite direction. So whenever you create that kind of fabric of right side, wrong side, right side, wrong side, it's reversible. So I like that for a few reasons. I like the look of that fabric. It's different. It's interesting. But also I wanted to play with that because I know that a lot of people like to use variegated yarn, and, every stitch pattern, every yarn weight, every tension, every repeat, dye of that, color repeat, depending on how long or short it is, it's going to work up completely differently. That colors are going to pool completely differently. So I did use a Caron Cotton Cake self-striping yarn for this, which has really super long stripes of colors. You can see here, there's a little bit of yellow, and then there's pink, and then there's light pink, and there's dark pink, and there's brown, and there's a little bit of yellow. So really, it probably won't matter too much for this, but I really wanted to change the direction of the stitches after every round, because if you're using a yarn that is, variegated, self-striping, short color repeat or long color repeat, I was really interested to see how that color would pool, because it's not going to so much pool and smear in one direction because it's changing. So I wonder if the color pooling, it's going to scatter it just a little bit more. So I was interested to see, some other colors worked up like this. But also, whenever I typically work granny squares, and this is technical, boring, whatever, maybe you like this, maybe you're nerdy like me and you follow stuff like this, maybe not, but whenever you're creating a granny square, depending on how you start it, and this is typically how I start things, like it's how I started this granny scrap bag, I like to start in the corners. So I always move my join point. I always slip stitch. So you slip stitch to join, and then you have to slip stitch a few more times to move your join to where you're starting in a different place. So that's typically how I do my granny squares, because I don't want to see my starting chain in the middle of my fabric. I don't want to point out. I don't want to see where I've joined. I don't want that traveling join to be in a single place. I just think it kind of takes away from the aesthetic. That's me personally. So that's what I do for my granny squares. So for this, another reason I wanted to turn was that I wanted my join to be in a straight line. So whenever you turn after each round, whenever you create something in a round like this, it's going to make that join be in a straight line, and therefore it's hidden in it's hidden, it's in a place where you're not really going to be looking. And that way on the backpack, there is very much a front side of the backpack. The front side is when you have the backpack on, the part that's on your back, that's the front of the backpack. And I want that side of the fabric to be as nice and seamless as possible. So, that was another little interesting thing that I did. So there you go. So there's a little input into, why this is the way that it is, and why I put the instructions together the way that I did. So, and I've got a few more things to tell you guys about it, but let me see who else is here. Dawn, you can. Thanks for the compliment. Oh, about the hair? I don't know. I wish. I feel like it's going to be more work than I do. I'm so low maintenance that, any kind of like maintenance, I'm like, ooh, that feels like commitment. So I'm like, oh, I don't know. I can't do it. Hey, Kimberly from the UK. Thanks for checking in. My friend Bobby is here. Hello, Bobby. So good to see you. Bobby says, I love green. Me too, especially since I am one now. I'm the grandma now. That's me. That's where I live. That's where I unpack my goodies. I hear you. Dawn says backpack plus granny square. Yeah, the granny stitch. So this is not like a classic granny square. I just wanted to differentiate. This is different. It uses that stitch pattern that we do see in a classic granny square, but this is worked in a tube. It's worked in a different kind of round. So yeah. Hello, Margaret. So good to see you. I like variegated yarn, but not so much if one color ends and starts in the middle of the row or round. I don't know. I don't mind that too much. And I think for me, it just depends. Sometimes I really love super short color repeats. Sometimes I like really long self-striping yarn like this right here. For me, it just depends on what it is that I'm making, what the stitch pattern is, what the fabric looks like, and is that color going to enhance my fabric and really make my fabric, look I want to say better, but it's like to each their own. I can't tell you what's going to look better or what's not. You guys, I love the way my granny backpack turned out, but some of you guys may look at that and go, I do not like those colors. It needs to be black. And I hear you. So yeah, so I think that whatever you think looks good, that's what looks good. That's what you should do. From a design perspective, from colors, from different colors that you use in color placement and things like that. Hello, Sarah. Good to see you. Granny square, granny stitch, love it all. Same. Me too. Granny stitches and granny squares. Angelica, good to see you. Angelica, were you the one last week that was like, you need to make a backpack using the granny stitch? And I was like, one step ahead of you, my friend. I think you were the one that called. You just read my mind. You knew what was up. You knew what was happening. Okay, so pattern testing. I would love to get as many pattern testers as possible on this, so I just wanted to chat with you guys a little bit about that process for just a second. I only call for pattern testing in my group. You guys can find the link to my group in the description of this video. Come on over and join. It's super fun. We do pattern testing and other stuff like that. So what do you need to do or have or know to be a pattern tester? Well, I have the pattern testing call outlined. So all you have to do is whenever you join my group, I tell you what yarn was used. There's a link to the pattern on Ravelry. That way you can get all the information, what yarn I used, what hook, how much yarn, all that kind of stuff. For pattern testing, I always tell you whether or not substitutes are allowed. In this one, yep, totally allowed. Gauge and size, you don't need to match it perfectly, completely. It's totally fine. The bag does come in one size, but the straps come in a few different sizes. Therefore, this bag, depending on the straps that you make, it's going to fit a variety of body styles and types. And I tell you how to measure to make a strap that's going to fit your body style and shape. You must use Google Docs because all of my pattern tests are done by way of Google Docs. So I send you an invitation by way of email. You cannot download or print the pattern. All the testing has to be done online, and I do that for quite a few reasons. First and foremost, I want to have as many pattern testers working on a pattern at any one given time. And the best way we can do that is by looking at a live document that's on the internet. So if you print this while it's in pattern testing, there may be some major update that you're missing 5 minutes after you printed it. And if you don't come back in and check in periodically, you're going to miss it. So this is the best way. Myself as the writer and all the pattern testers can all literally be on the same page. This is the literal sense of same pageness. And it happens all the time to where it's like, oh man, of course we're in pattern testing. I didn't say turn here, and that makes a huge difference in how this pattern works up, or the stitch count is incorrect, or oops, it should be back loop only right here. So there could be some major things that you're missing. So that's why I say can't print it, can't download it. We all got to work on the same page on Google Doc. And then I tell you how much time you have to test and what the requirements are. So if you're interested, and if you can self-assess your level of knowledge and and crochet ability to, can you work these stitches? Can you work within this timeline? Do you have this yarn? Then come on over and join. You don't need to show me any kind of credentials or do anything like that, because really I like to write for a universal audience. And one of the best ways you can write for a universal audience is to have a universal audience test and work through your patterns. I love to hear questions, comments, and feedback. You don't have to be a crochet professional, because sometimes, professionals miss very little things that make a huge difference. So any questions, comments, feedback are welcome. All right. All right. I see some questions here. Angelica says, I am always ready for a backpack. All right, my friend. Angelica says, I asked to join the pattern test for the first time. All right. I'll go back and check after this live video and start adding more people. Margaret, you're a granny stitch queen, Selena. If I want to make something in granny stitch, I always think of you first. Oh, that's so kind. I really appreciate that. I super love granny stitches. I love granny squares. I love granny motifs. I love different, that's my jam. Like, what else can we do with this? Like, it's a lot of fun to work up for me. So I'm glad you think so. It looks like I've got some spam, so I'll just skip right over that. And if ever you guys see spam in the comments, just skip right over it. I'll delete it whenever we're done. Margaret, have I missed this bag test? My crochet mojo has been on and off lately. I hear that. I know sometimes we just need something to jumpstart our crochet motivation. And small projects or pattern tests, that's always top on my list of things to do. So, if you want to jumpstart and you need something, then come on over and pattern test this. I'd love your help. Okay, so again, a few things that I just wanted to chat about out loud, just a few, and I'd love your feedback on it. So this is where, let's make this a conversation, whether you're here live or on the replay. All right, let me know. So I have made a ton of crochet bag patterns, and some elements, are kind of the same. Some bags, we just need to borrow things from other designs to make bags work sometimes. Now, I hate to overlap a lot, but sometimes like something is just done really well. And it's like, if you want the bag to be like this, yeah, I want to do something new and fresh and interesting and different, but this just works so well. So in this particular case, something I like to do new and different, I try to reinvent the wheel sometimes, is in the strap of the bag. So for this backpack, I definitely did that. I have a few bag straps, especially for backpacks, that just work. And here, let me show you. This is one of my favorites, and I'm already. So here you go. So this is a piece of fabric that is super durable. It's flat. It's a little bit like tape. So I basically crocheted like a piece of tape or a piece of cord. And a lot of people kind of hate they love the thing, but they hate the construction. I hear you, right? So this is a bag strap that I've worked in the past. And I was like, man, I don't want to do that again. Even though it's so good, I want to try to do something different. So this is the granny stitch backpack. Oh my gosh, that was a mouthful. And I did wind up, I just redid the handle or the drawstring, because I was like, it's so good. I got to try it out. So the original drawstring is this right here. And it's just a completely different construction. It's got a little bit more stretch. It's a little thinner. So it's different. It's pretty. It was a very easy construction, very different than things that I normally do. And, so I was very inspired by that. So the pictures that you see on the pattern listing are of this. The instructions I wrote are of this. So what I'd love feedback on is, now, do I just keep this strap because it's new and different and interesting? It doesn't roll as nicely through the holes, through the gaps. It doesn't, like, you see how this just kind of, opens and closes just so seamlessly. Really nice. And even though this might get a little twisted, it's totally fine because it's like a cord. So even if it's a little twisted, it's fine. So this it's just so good. But I think people will like this strap better. They just won't like making it. So if you don't like crocheting a chain and doing slip stitches, you may be like grown. Ugh. But once you get going, this didn't take very long and it's pretty. So there's that. This did not take as long. And this this arguably might be more fun to make. But the project afterwards, like to actually wear it, it's a little more, it's less, I don't want to say it's less functional because it functions. I wore it. I opened it, closed it, put stuff in it, walked around it. I tested it out. And this was okay, just not my favorite. So here's my question. Now that you've seen the two, I mean, you obviously haven't made the two. And, certain people like crocheting one thing over another. So I'm not going to say you're going to like this, you're not going to like that, because everybody's different. Do you want two handle options? Or do you just want one handle option? Like, what do you think would be better whenever you're looking at a crochet bag pattern like this? Like, this is an oldie but a goodie. Like, I've used this one a few times. It just works. It's fantastic. But I don't want anyone to go, I've seen that before. I want something different. Even if different is, maybe different in a good way, maybe different in a bad way. Like, this is definitely more boho. It's more cute. It's more, it's more cutesy. You know what I mean? This is doing a job. This is doing a job, but it's not working. It's not going to be, this is going to work hard for you. This isn't going to work as hard for you. Am I saying that right? So anyway, that's kind of the predicament that I'm in. And I just wanted to put it out to the community to see, when you get a pattern, what are your expectations? Do you just want the oldie and the goodie? Just show me something that works. Or do you want something new? If you saw two strap options, would you be like, why are there two? Is one better than the other? Which one should I do? I don't know. So that's where I'm at, and I'd love your feedback. All right, let's see who's here and what you guys are saying. I see Laura's here. I'm excited to see what Laura says. Laura says, I'm loving this one. Laura's one of our bag queens over here in the crochet community. Laura makes all the bags and tells us what's selling well because she makes them and sells them. So maybe she'll keep us posted on this one. Margaret, I'll check it out, see if I got the right yarn for it. Yeah, we'll chat about yarn in just a second. So stay tuned. Hello, Linda. Good to see you. Margaret says it does look nice after stretching. Does it look nice after stretching? I mean, wear and tear wearing a bag. So do you mean the bag or do you mean the straps? So the bag, that's a whole other conversation. So I'll leave that alone for now. The straps, this one's going to last, I don't want to say longer. This one is just a different fabric than this one. So it really depends on what you're going to be doing with it. Like, what are you going to put in it? If you put a bunch of books in this, that's going to be heavy. And then you're really going to test it. This has some stretch, but it's going to have some bounce back depending on the yarn you use. So really, fiber content is probably going to matter more than almost anything pertaining to this. But that's not to say that the kind of fabric you create isn't going to create some, elasticity, because some fabrics that we make just have more stretch and bounce than others. So this is a kind of stitch that doesn't have any space. So there's not a whole lot of give. This fabric does have space, and you can already see that give right there? But you see it kind of bounces back. I mean, that's on a really small scale, and this is cotton. So really, cotton is just going to stretch and not really bounce back. It's going to have less of that. So you want to either create a super tight fabric, or you want to have something that's going to really stick over time. It just depends. I think it depends on what you do with it. I mean, I don't like to design things that are just pretty, and I don't want you to ever use a bag for the first time and go, nope, I can put a t-shirt in there or a flower. Like, I don't want to create those kind of bags. So yeah, I mean, I guess there's still just a lot of variables in that, but that's absolutely something to think about. Laura, I think you should keep both options in the pattern. I'm all about function, but I understand wanting to try something new. And that's kind of where I'm at, honestly. I mean, this is just, they're both nice. They're both pretty. I've seen this one before. This one, it's new and different and cute, So maybe there's a time and a place for each one. I don't know. So yeah, maybe I will do both, but I want to make sure that won't be confusing or overwhelming. Angelica, I don't like doing slip stitch drawstrings, but they work really good in the backpack. And that's where we're at. And that's another reason I was like, let me kind of play with this. Let me play with a different kind of fabric and a different kind of stitch and see if I can come up with something similar that's still going to do the job. So yeah, that's kind of where I was coming at. Angelica says both options. Margaret says 2 options is better than 1. Monica, I just finished the double crochet handle and enjoyed working on that one. I hear you. Do you see what I'm saying? And that's kind of what I mean. I made both of these the other day and I really enjoyed working on both of them. I really did. And I guess another thing is that this one, you create the length first. So really you can adjust the width, but not the length. This one, you're creating the length first. So it's really easy to adjust the length as you go. And it's pretty fast stitch work. So, I mean, again, they both have pros and cons. I don't know. Monica, by the way, your hair in your profile picture is looking fantastic, my friend. Looks so good. And I can't wait to see your bag. Monica always has really good, just such great style, picks great yarn, picks great colors, and takes great pictures. So I can't wait to see. Hello, Linda. Good to see you here. Angelica, something new to check out to see, which I like for how to use it. Yeah. And I think that if you use a durable yarn and if you're really going down in hook size and you're just taking out all of the slack in the stitch work that you're doing, I think either one of these options, they're going to give you some durability just, by, making sure you follow those techniques right there. So really, I think it's just going to be about what you're doing with it and maybe you like both, maybe you like one over the other. Margaret says, I like the second strap. Dina, both options available, but you can say you recommend one more. Maybe. Yeah. I mean, maybe I'll just put some points. Yeah, if I have done that, I probably have. I've probably given more than one option in a pattern. And really, I don't like to do that often. So I guess that's another reason I'm kind of struggling with this one. I don't know. Sarah, you can crochet over a material and it won't stretch as much and keep its shape. Maybe. I mean, I'm not into doing things like that. I like to crochet my material or just get a different material. I mean, for example, I thought about making this a bag first. I had one sketch idea for a bag and I thought instead of crocheting handles, I can just get like faux leather straps or something. So I don't like taking a material and then crocheting over it. I like to either do something with crochet or find something that's going to like enhance my crochet. But if you're comfortable with that, there is nothing wrong with that, my friend. Lori, it's been a minute. Hope you're well. I was trolling Facebook and watching you on YouTube on my TV. So I get you in stereo. Oh man, well, I'm glad I put some makeup on today if I'm on your TV. Hopefully it's not bad. Nancy said, just started working on this pattern. Ooh, keep me posted, my friend. I can't wait to see. All right, so I think I am going to update at least. I think this is what I've decided. I'm going to update the pattern test. I'm going to put both straps on here, and I'm going to let you guys decide. Maybe you'll kind of try them both out. Maybe you'll just decide to work one over the other, and maybe we'll let the pattern testers choose how we go forward with this. So I'll do that, and we'll kind of go from there, and I'll keep you guys posted. All right, guys, so one more thing I want to chat with you guys about this bag pattern, okay? So I have a ton of Karen cotton cakes, and I'm not really up to speed on how Karen cotton cakes work, but I feel like every year they come out with like a new, it's not just a new color, it's like a new texture of the yarn. So while I love writing patterns and working with Karen cotton cakes, it seems like it's predictably unpredictable. So I was looking at other yarns to work up another sample of this particular bag in, and I'm really excited about some things that Lion Brand has come up with recently. So I wanted to share some of these yarn options with you, and I'd love to hear what you guys think in terms of cotton yarns for bags. Now, before I share some of my top 3 favorites to hear what you guys think, especially if you've worked with any of these yarns before, I just wanted to share some things that I look for in a yarn, particularly for a bag. So I like to work in the weight 4 region. That's where I live. It's my jam. And there's a lot of weight 4 yarns. So not only is it, universal for me to use, I feel like it's a universal yarn for people to substitute with. I don't always expect people to use the exact yarn that I use. So I want to choose something that is going to be easy to find an alternative for. So that's why I like weight 4. Now, when it comes to crochet bags, I like cotton, but I like super sturdy, durable cotton. So what I mean by that is I like to see on a yarn strand level, how durable is this yarn and what does this yarn do? You could even wet the yarn a little bit to see if wetting your yarn makes it more strong or makes it deteriorate. Sometimes water can make yarns deteriorate, and if you have something like a bag, it's likely to get moisture in it at some time, and you want to see if water is going to is it going to enhance this material or kind of ruin it? So if you can break a yarn with your hands, arguably this one I can break with my hands, but it takes a lot of work. I mean, that was a lot of work. So I think that Caron Cotton Cakes, it's a durable enough yarn. I mean, that hurt. I'm a little, I'm kind of She-Hulking it over here. So if you can't do that, that's fine. I put a lot of muscle behind that. But yeah, so just because I can break it with my hands, it took a lot of effort. So that still tells me that that's a really durable yarn. So from there, I like this yarn. So what am I going to do next to make the fabric and the stitches durable? I like to go down in hook size as much as possible. Now, the reason I do that is if I go down in hook size as much as possible, like one hook size up from I can no longer hook this yarn through. So your hook is too small if it won't even hook the yarn and go through. If you're constantly like, I can't hook it, then maybe change the design of the hook that you're using or just go up one hook size if you can. But really the kind of stitches and the kind of fabric that I'm trying to create is that I don't want my stitches or my fabric to have any slack. You want to create a fabric that's very dense, that doesn't really have a lot of movement. Because therefore, it's a bag. When you start putting things in the bag, if your stitches and fabric have any give, the more weight you put in the bag, the more the bag is going to stretch. And you definitely don't want to create a bag that's beautiful and you take pictures and you love it, and it comes off your hook and you're like, yes, this is so gorgeous. And you put one thing in it and it goes from the middle of your hip down to your knee. That's super frustrating, and I really don't like when that happens. So that's why it's important to choose a yarn that's durable. You go down in hook size, you create fabric that is very dense and very tight, because that's going to hold its shape and it's not going to stretch over time. So those are the things that you're looking for. So anyway, those are the things that I think about, and those are the things that I'm looking for whenever I'm choosing yarn. So I really want to make another one of these bags, and I've narrowed it down to 3 yarn options. Tell me what you think, especially if you've worked in these before, okay? So just looking at cotton yarns on the Lion Brand Yarn website, the first one I came up with is Re-Up Recycled Cotton Polyester Blend. So I've seen this yarn for a minute. It has not been discontinued, so hopefully it sticks around for a minute. And I really like that this comes in a cone, so I don't have to, sometimes with cotton yarn, there's only so much yardage, so, you're kind of you need a few skeins or balls or whatnot. But this comes in 651 yards. So I could probably make almost 2 bags with this, because I think Caron Cotton Cakes is like 400 and I used under 400. So might make 2 bags, like 2 and like 1 bag and then like 1 3/4, something like that. So maybe I could just shorten it or something. And I really like the colors. I like this jade color right here, as a matter of fact. So this is top on my list. It is 30% recycled polyester, which is synthetics, 70% recycled cotton. I really like those two fibers together, especially for bags. It's not all cotton. It's got a little bit of polyester in there. And so those two qualities together, in my opinion, it's just going to make it that much more durable. And again, the yarn color, super love it. So this is one. Have you guys ever used Re-Up before? If you have, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. Okay. Now, before I go on to the other ones, let's see who else is here and what you guys are saying. Nancy just started working on this pattern. You're one of the pattern testers, aren't you? Can't wait to see. Keep me posted. Laura says, Knit Picks Dishy, Lion Brand 24/7 Cotton, Caron Cotton Cakes are my favorites for bags. I hear you. I love all 3 of those, and I've used all 3 of those for bag patterns. I think I'm also trying to venture out just a tiny bit. So that's kind of where I was like, what else is out there? What else could I use? Yeah, Selena She-Hulk. I'll put it on a t-shirt. I'll wear that next time. Slaying yarn. Angelica says, I'm using my last 24/7 yarn for this pattern test. I'm running really low on cotton yarn, shopping coming up. Angelica says, I used Re-Up on the Primrose bag. Like it a lot. Oh, thank you for telling me, especially for a bag, because that's what I was looking for. All right, so we've got 1 vote of confidence for Re-Up, 4 bags. Maybe I'll test it out and let you guys know what I think. Okay, so the next yarn that I'm thinking about using is Respect. This is another one of those recycled yarns from Lion Brand. Let's see. This is a little bit smaller in weight. It says that it's a weight 3 lightweight yarn, but I've seen it in person and I feel like, I don't know. I feel like it's, it feels hefty, especially because it's got that chainette construction. If you're not familiar with the chainette construction, yeah, it looks like the yarn fibers, like the threads were chained together. So that's a little bit of extra durability. This is also a marled yarn. Marled means that there's more than one color held together, so you can kind of see all those colors together. And I like the contrast. Like for this particular yarn, it's a taupe and a cream and like a dusty rose. I think that's super cute. I like that. So I like that it's, it looks monotone from far away, but the closer you get, you really see that it's got some depth to it. Now, this yarn is polyester acrylic cotton. So again, I like that blend. I think that that's going to be really interesting. Specifically, it's 45% polyester, 30% acrylic, 25% cotton. So I've seen this yarn in person. I've felt it. I've never used it, but I'm interested. Each one of these skeins has 262 yards. So it would take a little over 1 skein. So it'd probably take 2 skeins to make 1 bag, which is not bad, I'll take that. So this is another one. Have you guys used this one before? All right, I don't see anybody saying anything in the comments. So I don't know, maybe yes, no, or maybe you guys have used it. I'm not sure. I may just get this and just try it out just because it's got some qualities in a yarn that I really like for bags. So maybe we'll test that out. And specifically, I like this color. I looked at all of the colors, and I think for a backpack, this is probably the color I would use and wear the most. I liked this green color, but it doesn't scream like summer bag to me. So after I kind of went through all of them, I thought, what looks good with jeans and a t-shirt? And I thought this one did. So if you guys have another one, let me know. All right, Bobby has not used this yarn before. Angelica has not used this yarn. So again, if you guys have used this, let me know what you think, all right? And if I'm the first one, I'll do it. I just, sometimes I like to ask questions. All right, and of course, oldie but a goodie, the OG bag yarn. This is just the best ever of all time. Love it so much. Lion Brand 24/7 cotton. Oh my gosh, this yarn is it is such a workhorse. You are not breaking this yarn with your hands. It's not happening. You're going to rip your skin off before this yarn even budges. So already it is super duper durable. It also has that chainette construction. So not only is it a durable like fiber, but it's a durable construction like that. It is just not going anywhere. Just how the stitches work up looks so beautiful. I mean, this yarn, it makes a beautiful bag. So the only reason I did not make my backpack in this yarn is that I constantly buy the same colors. So if you look back at all the things that I've crocheted and all the things that I've designed with 24/7 cotton, I use gray, I've used the purple, the blush purple, and I've used the golden. And I've used jade, and I've used, what is this yarn color? I've used mint and jade. Okay, so yeah, I've only used 1, 2, 3, like 5. That's it, right? So I wanted to use this, but I've already used all the colors that I have. So I didn't want to make another gray bag because I've already had one. I mean, I'll make one, but in terms of like, I want you guys to be excited about it. I want to make something that's new and different and interesting. I didn't want to make another, charcoal bag. What other color do I have? I think I have jade and lilac and camel. And I almost made it in camel. I super love camel. I love that golden color, but I've already made a bag. I've made the autumn harvest bag in that color. So I paused and I want to hear what you guys think about this. Okay. Is this too crazy? I don't know. So I either want to make this in camel, which is this color right here. I love it. I mean, this is a jean and t-shirt color all day. Like, this goes good with black. It goes good with tan. It goes good with white. So even though I've already used this, I don't know, would you guys get super stoked to see the Granny Stitch backpack in that color? Or am I going to go super duper crazy with acid green? This, I mean, you either love it or you hate it. It's very neon. I don't know if I've ever even seen this color in person. I don't know. But this to me screams highlighter yellow, 1980s. Like, and it just, I love all of it. I am so about it. So, do I go big with acid green and make something off the wall? Or do I go safe with a color I've already used? You guys let me know. I'd love to hear. All right. Yeah, Bobby says 24/7 is the best cotton ever. Angelica says I'm using goldenrod, amber, and hay bale. Sarah says go big. Okay. Oh, Laura says I haven't gone yarn shopping in a while, trying to use up my stash, but I sure love a new cotton blend option. Same. I love trying new things. I love trying new yarns. I mean, you could find your new favorite. Monica says go wild. Go big. Go big, says Monica. Do it. Oh, Bobby says that color is awesome. I have it. This neon acid. I mean, I don't think I've ever even crocheted with anything neon before. I mean, maybe some flex or specs or something like that. So this would super be different for me. This would really stand out. But in a good way or a bad way. So that's where I'm at. I don't know. Laura says my boys would love a neon colored backpack. Bobby loves it. Dawn says go do it in the green. Bobby says it is a great summer green. All right, maybe you guys talked me into it. I was feeling so unsure. Like I loved it, but when I looked at it, I was like, I don't know. Am I gonna like? Sometimes the color makes all the difference. Sometimes like I make something and the color, people are just like, that's ugly. And it's like, you just can't see past the color. And so I was so excited about this backpack that I didn't know if this would be like a scary color, like it would really kind of turn people off. So, yeah, Sarah made a good point and said, mix the green with orange neon color combination. I don't know if I like that color combination. That's not my favorite. But I definitely liked, let's see, I thought about mixing, but I don't know. I'm not very good with mixing. I thought about mixing this lime with like a cool gray and then like a terracotta pink, like those three colors. But then I was like, is that too much? No, it's too much. Maybe, I don't know. So maybe just the lime green, and then maybe I'll do something crazy and put a tassel on it. And maybe that tassel will be like terracotta or, you know, pink or something like that. So maybe that's how I'll break up the color. So yeah, I'd love to hear some more thoughts and opinions and feedback on the neon green. So let me know. Keep that conversation going even after this, we're done rolling with this live. But again, if you guys have ever used Respect, let me know what you think. And if you've made anything with it, if you have your project listed on Ravelry, go ahead and link your project because I'd love to go check it out. If you've ever used Re-Up, let me know what you think. Again, if you have made a project and it's on Ravelry, link me in the comments because I'll go check it out. I can't wait to see. All right, guys, that's all I have for you guys today. Super excited about this new bag pattern. Can't wait to have 1 million pattern testers on this. I think the more the merrier, the more better. So again, link to join my group with all the instructions, all of the outlines for the pattern test call. It's in the video description, so go check it out. All right. Okay, every guys, man, I need more coffee. Okay, everybody, guys, girls, thanks again to Sarah for being here, and Bobby and Dawn and Laura Brewer and Monica Mercado and Angelica McKinney, and a few more shout outs to Elaine and Aurora and Kim, and 2 shout outs for Monica. You just get more shout outs. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate you, and I'll see you next time. Peace, love, crochet. Bye-bye.